Have you ever seen a judge smile before announcing a verdict? A man who listens not just with his ears, but with his heart. Who can look at a lawbreaker and still see a human being? That man was Judge Frank Caprio, America's nicest judge. Millions watched his courtroom expecting punishment, but instead found hope, laughter, and forgiveness. Yet, behind that warm smile lies a story few people know. A story of poverty, struggle, and unstoppable compassion. Frank Caprio was born on November 23, 1936, in Providence, Rhode Island. His father, Antonio, was an Italian immigrant who sold fruit from a horse-drawn wagon, and his mother, Philomena, took care of their small home. They had little money, but an abundance of love. Frank grew up during hard times and learned early what real hardship meant. His father always told him, "Frank, treat people with kindness. You never know what battle they're fighting." Those words would become the foundation of his life. As a boy, Frank worked shining shoes, delivering newspapers, and washing dishes. He wasn't born with a silver spoon. He built himself, piece by piece. He dreamed of becoming a lawyer, but poverty stood in his way. So he became a teacher, teaching American government by day while studying law at night. Exhausted yet determined, he drove from Providence to Boston to attend Suffolk University Law School, returning home past midnight every single night. After years of sacrifice, he finally graduated in 1965, later saying, "I didn't get here because I was the smartest. I got here because I refused to quit." Frank began helping his community, representing immigrants and working families who couldn't afford lawyers. People took notice. This was a man who genuinely cared. In 1985, he was appointed as a municipal court judge in Providence. The cases were small, parking tickets, minor violations, but his kindness made them unforgettable. Soon, a local TV station began filming his sessions, and Caught in Providence was born. It started small but exploded on social media. Millions watched as he forgave a struggling mother, comforted a veteran, or smiled at a child sitting beside a nervous parent. Every case showed something rare, justice with a heart. Frank once said, "Every person who comes before me has a story. If you listen long enough, you'll understand their pain." That belief made him the most beloved judge in the world. People didn't love him for being lenient. They loved him for being human. When someone cried, he listened. When someone confessed, he smiled softly and asked why. When a father brought his son to court for speeding, Frank let the boy decide the verdict. And when the boy said, "Guilty," Frank laughed, "Then guilty it is." The courtroom erupted in laughter, and the internet melted. His compassion went global. People from every country watched, cried, and learned from his incredible empathy. Yet, behind that cheerful smile was a man who knew real pain. He grew up poor, faced loss, and saw suffering up close. His compassion wasn't just a philosophy, it was a memory. Frank was married to his lifelong love, Joyce Caprio, for over 60 years. She was his greatest supporter and the person who kept him grounded. He used to say, "My wife's the real judge at home." Together, they raised 5 children, and despite his fame, Frank remained humble. He shook hands with strangers, remembered names, and when fans approached him, he'd laugh and say, "I'm just Frank." Beyond the courtroom, he was deeply involved in education. He served on Rhode Island's Board of Governors for higher education, helped fund scholarships, and believed that education could change lives. "Education saved my life," he said. "I want it to save others too." Among the thousands of letters he received, one from a teenager in Africa stood out. It read, "Judge Caprio, I want to be like you, a fair man who listens." That letter brought tears to his eyes, but the toughest case Frank ever faced came later, his own. In December 2023, he announced he had pancreatic cancer. The world froze. Yet, even in pain, he remained graceful. "This is a tough one," he said, But I'll fight and I'll pray." Fans flooded him with prayers and love from across the globe. He continued to appear in court, smiling, offering compassion, and inspiring others even as he battled for his life. On August 20th, 2025, the world lost its kindest judge. He passed away at 88. The world fell silent, and then it cried. Tributes poured in. The mayor called him the moral compass of our city. One mother wrote, "He forgave me when I couldn't forgive myself. He didn't just change my fine, he changed my life." Few people knew that Frank never took a single penny of profit from Caught in Providence. Every cent went to scholarships and community programs. He secretly paid winter bills for struggling families, visited schools without cameras, and told kids, "Success isn't how high you climb, but how many people you lift along the way." He had a sharp sense of humor, too. Once, when a lawyer arrived late, he smiled and said, "I'd fine you, but your wife might fine me back." The courtroom laughed. That was classic Caprio. Before he passed, he recorded a final message to the world. "We live in a time where anger is loud and kindness is silent. I hope I reminded you that mercy still matters. The law is written in books, but justice lives in the heart." That line became immortal. Justice lives in the heart. His foundation now continues his work, offering scholarships and funding cancer research. His videos still circulate online, making people smile, cry, and believe in goodness again. Law students study his compassion. Children say they want to be a judge like Frank Caprio. He didn't just judge cases, he judged life, with love. In a world chasing power, he chose empathy. In a world filled with noise, he spoke softly. And in a world that often forgets mercy, he reminded us that compassion is the highest form of justice. So, the next time you see one of his videos, the laughter, the tears, the gentle voice, remember that wasn't a show. That was Frank Caprio, the boy who once shined shoes and rose to become the kindest judge in the world. And though he's gone, his message remains alive in every act of kindness we choose, because maybe the nicest judge in the world didn't die. He simply passed the gavel to all of us. If his story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs to see it, and subscribe to our channel. Let's keep his legacy alive, one act of kindness at a time. Thanks for watching.